Well, now we know for a fact that Daredevil was returning to the MCU as a variant. Yes, he was going to be a variant of the Netflix series, as well as Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin was also going to be a variant. And now it all kind of makes sense, and well, it's been confirmed by the star himself. So let's talk about what the plan was and why it didn't go the variant route. So this comes at us literally from Charlie Cox himself, who was recently part of a Deadline conversation / interview talking about returning to the role of Daredevil, what they were doing, and of course when he was brought back for Spider-Man, She-Hulk, and then Daredevil Born Again being a different take on Daredevil. So I'm going to read you his quote in its entirety, so bear with me for a minute because it's a paragraph. So he said, and I quote, "One of the things the original team wanted to do was that they wanted to keep Vincent D'Onofrio and I. They wanted to keep us. They didn't want to alienate an audience that hadn't watched the show. So they wanted it to kind of be a reset. So there was a kind of conversation about it being like a variant. You know, in the Loki show, we talked about these variants. It was almost like a variant. And we never said that, but it was almost like a variant. So, it was in another universe and version of these characters existing in a world. That's a valid choice. It's a fun idea. The problem becomes that we found that whenever I said something that was in contrast to what we had shot in the past, people thought I was lying. They didn't think it was a variant. They thought I was being disingenuous. It was a nice idea. It just didn't pan out. That's why we didn't see Foggy's death. It was because they were trying not to tie it to the old show with the new show, so that people didn't feel like, well, I don't know who the person is. I don't want to watch it. So, if it was off camera, the idea would be that you understood the emotion and you didn't have to know the context." End quote. So again, a longer paragraph, but I wanted to read it in its entirety because it's important to get the understanding of it. And the understanding of it is they were variants. And it was going to be a loose adaptation. It's like, yeah, you've seen these two. You've seen Wilson Fisk. You've seen Daredevil. They're back. Foggy's dead. Karen is not here. Were they the same? Maybe, maybe not. Hey, look at Vanessa. She's a new actress, but don't worry, it's still Vanessa. We just have to recast her. And they realized it wasn't going to work. And as he says, they were watching the show. You know, they've both talked about this, him and D'Onofrio. They sat down and watched the 5 episodes that they had complete, and they all just looked at each other and said, this doesn't work. Because they all realized you need the emotion and the context of the old series for the new stuff to resonate. So ultimately the choice was made, you know what, they're not variants, we're just going to canonize all of it. And it makes sense, because the viewership of Daredevil is the lowest of any Disney Plus Marvel series. So imagine alienating the fans who are on par with the Netflix series. You would just then turn them away and then get less views than ever. It's not a smart move and never was. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.